Welcome to a new episode of SheTech from Dream to Career. In this episode, I had the amazing pleasure to meet Adela, who was one of those person that was from the beginning of journey of when AI and big data starting to boom in Romania. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to talk with someone that saw it all, from when it started to where AI is right now. It's impressive to see someone seeing everything happening. Alongside this, what inspired me more when I see Adela is that she's like pure passionate about all what's technology, what's AI, and everything around it. She's starting from working to very big corporation in Romania to actually found her own company called AIAdviser, which is like an AI consulting company. It's a true inspiration, and I'm so glad that she accepted to be one part of my podcast. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Thank you so much for taking part of this amazing podcast, SheTech from Dream to Career. I want first to start with an intro on yourself to understand what you're doing today, and yeah, what do you enjoy?
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here and very good initiative from your side. Currently, my focus is split into two parts. One is something that I haven't shared publicly yet. Is a company wanted to launch a product like Fight Junior meets tech, embedding AI into juries. But hopefully, I'll be able to share more details on this later this year or early next year. And on the other part, there is AIAdviser, the company that I founded. AIAdviser from AIAdviser, a consulting company, an AI consulting company, focusing on helping other companies understand what is AI and also how to adopt it securely and safely. And then we do what we preach. So we also try to develop our own products, of course, using AI.
Of course, everyone needs to use AI today in order to be successful. I'm really curious because to understand how did you manage to get into the tech world? Because like I know at least at the beginning, like there are so many types of jobs that you can choose. How did you think about like the whole technology file in general?
Yeah, so thinking about tech, I was 100% certain that this is what I want to do in the sixth grade. So we
Wow.
had a program where we studied computer science in the sixth grade. There was a pilot program there, and the teacher had something special. So she said she had a very special laptop. It was back in the days when there was black and white computers and one more powerful computer that the teacher had. And she said that the person that has the best results in class will be able to sit at that computer. Wow. And at the end of the lesson, they get to play a game. So I went home. I found the computer science book in my parents' library. I don't know why, because they didn't study computer science, but somehow they had the computer science book. So I started learning so that I could be that person that plays the game.
And were you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that's amazing. I think it's very important to have like good teachers, especially like this type in like younger age, like sixth grade, because like it gives you so much entertainment to learn something. And for this one, it was like a very successful story.
Yes, and for me, I don't know, I was lucky. I knew that I wanted to get in tech, and then I actually got into tech like through a very smooth process. It was like 2007, so maybe 18 years ago, that I had the summer internship at Nokia Romania. I knew a guy working there, and he mentioned that they are starting this very different internship. Not so many companies were having internships back then, and it was a full summer internship, which is something that didn't exist there. And I said, okay, let's go for an interview. I got the internship job, and then I decided not to continue during my last year of college. And my manager was really nice. And the day of my graduation, he called me and we said, we have a job opening. Wanna come in? And I was, of course, over the moon with that. I met there amazing people. So we were two guys, two girls actually, in a team full of experts and seniors. So this was the level, and we got a lot of mentoring, which I appreciate to this day.
Yeah, I imagine like mentorship is very important, especially like from a younger age when you're doing internships. If you have a good mentor, that's the key to success because otherwise it's pretty hard to like try to understand everything in a corporation world. So you got extremely lucky.
Yes, I was extremely lucky. And it wasn't just one person, it was the whole team that I was part of. They were chipping in, explaining things, what's this, what's that, how to approach things, how to approach the project.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I also know that you shift at one point from software engineering to more like AI and big data. Curious to see why did you transition and was it an easy transition or not necessarily?
Yes, so after Nokia, I went on to Scobler, which turned later on to Telenav. Telenav acquired Scobler, and we were working on the backend development. I was actually a Java backend developer as I started, and we were working on the backend development, and then we started to shift the company perspective, not as the employees, but the manager decided that they want to focus on really being a data company. I remember there was a all hands meeting. Philip Kandar, amazing guy, very smart and very modern way of thinking, had us all gather in one room, and he had a slide with Donald Duck jumping in a pile of money, and he said, "This is data." Like, looking at that picture, it was really intriguing for me. So, what's data so special? Why do we have to have a knowledge meaning when we look at Donald Trump jumping in a pile of money? And then we started slowly transitioning into this big data area. So we had the backend side. So we started doing the backing for collecting at scale large volumes of trip data, like GPS positions and different trip sensors that we had. And once we started collecting this data, we move on to doing something with it, so on processing it. So we started needing big data technologies to be able to process the large volumes of data. We were talking like millions of hits per our servers per minute. So the volumes were huge. So we had to really up our game and change the technologies. And then we started introducing AI in the different pipeline steps.
Yeah, imagine. And how did you learn, like in a big corporation or like big companies, what AI is? Were some courses up there, or was like just learning by going and doing?
It was more like learning by going and doing. We started going at conferences, so that helped a lot. We started building our own big data meetup. So we started getting a community around this, and a lot of research on the internet. I started with Andrew Ng's course on Coursera, the machine learning course, the foundational module, and it just added from there.
Yeah, from there is history, as you
Yes.
said. Okay, so very interesting. And I know that you said that you're now more focusing maybe on consulting, on AI and big data. Very curious to see what does actually that means to be a consultant in this file, and I don't know how your day-to-day works looks like.
Yeah, so I'm maybe in the middle. I'm bridging the gap between business and technology. So I'm also the strategist and the hands-on architect. So I have discussions with the clients so that they understand what AI is. They came to me saying that they want to do a project, but it's not clear how to approach that. So I have discussion and help them figure out how to approach one area, because it's not just one particular piece of machine learning. You have to discuss everything that's around it, as how you integrate it into production. And then I find it also important to be hands-on, so you know what's the best strategy to propose. And once you define the architecture, you can also start working with. I'm working myself, but with other colleagues as well, and coordinating the way the project goes.
Yeah, very interesting. And if you could choose, what do you think is the most interesting part at your job?
The most interesting part is being diverse.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that when you start a project, and that keeps me going even today, you don't know how to do it. So you just go, so how do we even do this? And that's a lot of creative problem solving, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, I mean, I think just being able to create something from zero and coming up with a solution is just like a magical thing. That's what I also love now to my future job that is going to come up, because like I will be able to like actually jump into like, okay, this is the problem, what's the solution? And you need to come up with something, which is like a combination between like knowing what tech is, but also being creative and knowing how to like do problem solving.
Yeah, it's more than following a recipe.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that you also had the honor to be like head and leadership in a lot of teams and like lead them. I'm very curious to see how is it to be a leader in this like fast-paced AI world in a way or another.
Yeah. From my perspective, being a good leader in this space means two things. Making sure that you have the core technical knowledge in your pocket so that you are able to propose the best strategies, you are able to jump in when the team meets a roadblock. So you are able to be there for the team and have the project move forward, but also be there for the team as a person. So a company is made up of people actually, and each team is made up of unique individual persons with their unique perspectives, and you have to be open to listen to everybody's perspective and try to form teams in the very good sense of what a team is. I really like this quote, like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So if you take each person individually, they will get to something. But if you put them together and you favor this collaboration and open knowledge sharing, then the results are way more.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, that sounds great. And I'm also curious now if we're going a bit in a data and AI, maybe for people that are not that familiar with these terms, can you maybe give us an example of a project that is really exciting that you managed to work on?
Yes, of course. I can give you more one on data and then one on AI. We've also had mixers. For example, the one that I mentioned at Telenav, to understand what's data, I mentioned that we had a lot of GPS data. And the company was also focusing on enhancing OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap is like a Google Maps, but open source version of it that you can edit and you can enhance it. And it was integrated into different navigation systems. The downside of it is that it's not as developed as Google Maps, but we had a lot of GPS data, so we knew where people were actually driving, which means that we are able to reconstruct the map using where the users are going. But when we speak a lot about millions, billions of points, it's not so easy. So that's why we needed to have our own Hadoop and then Spark cluster, and we needed to go with the big data technologies. And then in the end, we were managed to enhance the map with new road geometries that we computed using big data technologies. Another example on Banca Transylvania, there was a project on digital onboarding, trying to validate the person's identity. So when the camera starts and the person wants to identify itself, we were requiring different poses like turn left, turn right. And that was one part like pose detection to see if the person does what it's written there, because we were randomly picking the action and we were matching that with the user action. And then also a part that does liveness detection, so really a deep learning model that we developed, custom one, trying to understand if the person is real or it's a photo or it's a computer made.
Oh, well, yeah, that sounds like two very cool projects to be able to work on. And now I'm curious to see, were there any challenging or learning moments that you feel that fully shape you and your career path?
I did have like a very good learning moment. I learned that sometimes you meet resistance, and maybe sometimes you are 100% certain that you want to do something and that's the right thing, and you don't understand why you meet resistance, and the other person doesn't understand why you want to do something. I had one such example. I was really pushing for one technology on the data engineering part that was 100% convinced that it was the right move, but I failed to have a lot of discussion around it, especially on the risk parts. I'm also a reviewer for European Commission for data and AI projects. And once we review there, a lot of focus is on how you address the risks. If you identify the risks, but putting next to the risk, you put the mitigation actions.
Yeah.
So what you do to avoid that risk. And I learned this the hard way, that you need to emphasize more what's the risk, like really be open, and then also try to understand the mitigation actions and see if they are enough or you need to do something more. So it was a lot of listening and communication.
Now that you mentioned that part of your job in a way or another, I'm very curious to see how do you manage to get into that, and how is it to work as a revision?
How I got into that?
Yeah.
I got a message from a guy from European Commission on Twitter.
Really?
Yes, I may have a gig for you. Are you interested?
On wow, Twitter. Okay, so I need to post there. Oh, cool. And what do you need to do, like in your gig side?
Um, I don't know. I guess it was a pure interest on the technology. I had different messages there, and then there is a form that you fill, and you have a reviewer reviewing you as a reviewer.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. Now I'm very curious because you're in AI and data, which I think is like one of the fastest change that you can happen, and everything is changing all the time. How do you manage to keep yourself up to date?
I try to block time for learning, and I try to spread the learning throughout my day as well. So I like to read. So I'm starting to move to more like technical books or self-development books or leadership books that can help me become better at who I am. So you would see me like in the pool reading how to do data management
Wow.
and things like that. Or I'm reading newsletters. I'm looking on YouTube at different videos. The algorithm learned my patterns, so I get the suggestion for the latest technologies, what you should do. I don't jump to any new technology unless I start to see that it gets traction, not friction. And if it's something that sparks my interest, I just go and search it deeper.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. And then I'm very curious because like you lead a lot of teams. What, in your perspective, is the best skills that will describe a successful leader?
I would say the mix between technical and the technical knowledge and being there for the team, like genuinely care for the people. Like on the technical side, I think you have to have a good understanding of all the technologies that you need, because otherwise you may encounter cases where there is a question, so what do we do now? But if you don't understand it, it's gonna get tricky. And being there for the team is really important. I don't know if you know the TV show like New Amsterdam.
Yeah, I do.
And there it starts with the medical director that goes with all the department leads and asks, how can I help?
Yeah.
So I actually started doing the same thing.
Oh, wow.
We had a department meeting every month, and this is how I started. How can I help? And it means like being there for the team for whatever they need, whether they need to find the right conference, the right book for them to read, maybe solve conflicts. You need to be there for the team. Maybe the more you advance, actually, the more you become actually the support function, not the one setting the direction. You need to set the direction, but you also need to understand where people need you. So you need to be able to jump in.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely love the show because of that phrase that he started with. And I do believe it, that's very important. I think not enough people in leadership are doing it because like all the time it's like expecting people to just come and talk. And no one's talking if you're not asking. So like just putting that question, I think makes a lot of impact in the meeting.
It really changed. And we had this department meeting, but we also had like individual team meetings. So I had a meeting with all the teams, each team one by one. And I started with the same question. So how can I help? And doing like small things that makes the team work more efficient, it compounds.
Yeah, definitely. And now for a reverse perspective from you looking as a leader to the people under you, what do you think are the skills that a person working in software engineering or AI and data should have?
First, to have an open mind. Like the technology is changing drastically. It didn't see this level of change until now. So being open to what's there, being open to new suggestions, being open to feedback, accepting bad reviews. That's a thing. So that's one thing, very important. First, you need to start with that. And then focus on the basics. Like in the end, it's a system. that has AI in it. So if you zoom out and you look at a project with AI, the AI component is like this very small part around everything else. Is the testing, how you do monitoring, how you make sure that your model is performing, how you do the deployment, how you do CI/CD. So focusing on the software development lifecycle and the standards, good practices, that it's very important. For example, we did this, there is the book, Clean Code. So we did this as part of our team journeys. So every sprint, one chapter, one person reads that chapter, and at the end of the sprint, he presents it and we discuss it in the team, how we are gonna apply it, and we all agree that this is how we are gonna do it. So focusing on software development best practices is crucial, because afterwards, like learning any tool or any AI model, that's easy.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I never thought of like that. I think the model of putting one person and then to present and see how we can apply is like a great one, because then you have not everyone reading the same thing and like trying to put it, but like you have like a diversity in a way.
Yeah, and every sprint, it's a different person.
Different person, yeah. I think that's a great way to learn as a team, as a whole, and also like know how to work together to create a solution.
Yeah. And in the end, you had to discuss it and you had to agree that this is how we are going to apply it into our teams. And it's just a couple of chapters. So you finish that pretty soon. In 3 months, you are done. But then you are sure that the team has the solid foundation.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm curious to see what's your perspective in having like mentorship and community. How important it is for a person getting in the tech world?
For me, community was really important. We started like 2010 maybe when there wasn't even Hadoop 1.0, it was 0 point something. It was just us and another company from Cluj doing big data. And we started building a community around us. We started having a big data meetup. One of my colleagues actually initiated that. I helped there, and we were joining forces with the other company. And we started to have more people joining our meetups and having discussions. We discovering new conferences, and this led us to expand our learnings quite a lot. I truly believe that if you give back to the community, you also receive immense value. I've also led the Data and AI meetup. I helped it organize. I was a speaker, moderator, presenter. It's important. I attend conferences from both sides, like as a regular user and also as a speaker. And I learn a lot in these conferences, at these meetups. And you start to build also a community of people that are interested in what you do. So later on, maybe this will help. So we actually had 2 hires that met me at one such meetup. And they were really good hires, and they were willing to come to us because they knew us and they knew what we do and they knew what we think about the technology, and that really helped us. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to just share the knowledge, and it helped.
Yeah, you never know from where people can come from.
Yes.
And also good that they came and actually talked, because networking I think is another key essential thing, especially in tech. Like you need to network with people to understand on one side what they are doing and if you enjoy doing that, but also having connection helps you get into company most of the time. And I'm curious, like as a woman in tech, you were pretty early on where it was still very male dominated, I would say. And I'm curious to see, were there any challenges that were coming from that one? And if they were, how did you manage to overcome them?
First, I don't see myself as a woman in tech. I see myself as a professional in tech. And with this in mind, I didn't see if there was something around me. For example, at my first Hadoop Summit, it was 10 women and 300 participants. Next year, it was 50 women and 500 participants. And the next year, it was 100 women, around 800 to 900 participants. So the percentage is starting to change. But I never realized, I don't realize it. So I've been to meetings, I've been to steak dinners, just male, but I didn't see it afterward. Oh, it's just me, a female here. But I don't look at it as that. We are just professional. I was there to learn the same ideas, to learn I listen to the same talks. I could have valuable input if I'm a woman or not. So it's a matter of perspective here.
I do think that's a good perspective to have, to just be like, yeah, we're just all people in the end.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good. And I'm curious to see, do you have, I don't know, any advice for a younger that is trying to get into the tech world and see how it is?
Do it if you like it. I've seen many people get into tech because it sounds cool or because of the salaries or because they know someone. And I've seen them become burdened. So if you work a lot on something that you don't love, it will become a burden. But if you like, and it's challenging, you can always learn something, you will not be stuck because there's always room to learn, to grow, to do things differently. And then just go for it. And start with the basics and move one step further day by day.
Step by step, day by day, all the
Exactly.
time. And then I have one final question, which is my favorite, and I put it to absolutely everyone I met, is if you could go back to your younger self, what would be one piece of advice you would give yourself?
I would say, I will link it to what I said that it was a lesson for me. Listen and communicate. Listen more, like to what are everybody what's their friction, what's their concern. And it's so important in AI adoption, at least for me now, when I'm discussing with people that want to adopt a technology that's a bit blurry and it's fuzzy, everything around it. So you have to listen to their concerns and to communicate a lot. Like even if it seems clear, it's not just to get rid of all the concerns, just communicate what you are doing, communicate what you want to be doing, how you plan to get there. Is gonna help a lot of situations where there was simply assumptions.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have to go back a lot of times.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I think one of the main skills that everyone that I talk with in tech was like, do communication. Like your communication skills need to be a lot because everyone is focused on tech, but also communication is key to be able to like on one side collaborate with each other, but second, as you said, to be able to also listen and come up with the right solution on the right problem.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being part of this podcast.
For having me.
And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of SheTech from Dream to Career. If you like this episode and you want to see more amazing episodes showcasing women in tech, please subscribe and follow along to see more journeys and more stories.